once again, have you guys heard? Kamaru Usman and Khamzat Chimaev. Looks like they're looking at each other to want to fight. Dana's been saying that Usman's been hitting him up at the office, texting him, calling him, just like a crazy girlfriend. That's not what Dana said, but something along those lines. He wants to fight. He wants Chimaev. He's showing interest in that because nobody else is. Nobody else wants Chimaev. And rightfully so, we know why. Chimaev is not an easy fight for anyone. And Chimaev is one fight away, doesn't matter what division he is in, for a title shot. And people usually know that if they lose that, they're probably not going to get a title shot as well. So it's a big risk you're willing to take, and this is why Usman's there. Usman's saying, give me all the smoke. I don't care who it is, what time, what weight. I'll do whatever. But the question there comes is, what happens if it's at 170? And let's just look at all of the options. It's at 170, Usman wins. Chimaev loses, let's say. That's fine. Usman continues to go on for a number one contender to potentially fight the winner or loser of Colby, Leon Edwards, Bilal, maybe throw Burns in the mix again. I don't know. What happens there? It's kind of confusing because Usman has already lost to Leon Edwards twice, but he could fight 4 times if Leon Edwards beats Bilal, beats Colby, and Usman beats everyone else. Shevchenko could come in there too. That's where it's a little bit interesting is, do we get a 4th fight between those two? If Usman beats Chimaev and then beats Colby or beats Burns or beats Bilal, whoever it may be, again, just to stay active while Leon Edwards gets, a couple defenses in, do we fight against him again? What happens if Leon Edwards loses to Colby? What happens then? Does Bilal get the shot? Or does Usman, based off him beating Chimaev, who is potentially one of the better fighters in the UFC right now, does he get that spot over Bilal? And Bilal said, I got that, that number one contender spot. Dana White said it. But when your former champion and arguably one of the greatest 170 pounders in the world comes in and says, hey, I beat Chimaev, I want that title shot again, it's hard to deny them. Now let's just rewind a little bit. What if Chimaev beats Usman at 170? Chimaev is already gone, they said, from 170. He's going to go to 185. But if Dana makes this fight at 170, I don't think Chimaev's staying there. I don't know. That's just my thought. We've heard that he's had issues with cutting weights. He's also had issues with traveling to the US, and this is from Chael Sonnen that we've heard this information that, he's like, I've heard this, he can't travel this, can't travel that. Then I saw him in the US, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? This is kind of a little bit different. Because if we figure that out, that doesn't matter. But like I said, if he wins at 170, what happens there? That kind of just throws a wrench in the entire welterweight division. Now, if we take another couple steps back and we say Chimaev wins at 185, great. He is potentially one fight away from either championship or from the number one contender spot. So he's already in that mix in 185 if Chimaev beats Usman. But if Usman beats Chimaev at 185, I don't think Usman's going to want to stay at 185. Do you think he's going to fight Izzy? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Usman fight Whitaker, Duplessis, Costa. I just want to see how his game translates to a division that's 15 pounds heavier, which is a significant amount for guys that drain themselves to get to 185 and then blow up to 205 like Costa or Yoel Romero back in the day when they would just... Like, don't get me wrong, Usman's a big guy, but Usman's not at 205, 36 hours post-weigh. He's not that big. And we also saw what happened to Izzy when he went up to 205 in the light heavyweight division and fought Jan. It's just that strength difference. Even if you are a more skilled fighter, that strength difference is a big difference. But taken of all these things that I've just said in, That is why I think Usman and Chimaev makes for a great fight. I wanted to swear there, but don't have to bleep that out. We're going to keep this PG. That fight, I think, would be one of the most stylistically interesting fights that could potentially happen in the UFC. It's just seeing Khamzat and how good he is, how strong he is, how he goes out there and just does whatever the hell he wants. He had a banger fight against Burns, so I'm not taking anything from him. But I think he might be better at 185 because he's not cutting and draining himself, because he is a big, big dude. You look at the photos of him beside other fighters. He's not a small guy. He's tall, he's long, he's wiry, strong, got a big head so that he can't get knocked out. I think that's what makes it interesting. Usman's been so dominant with wrestling, but if he couldn't take down Leon a lot of times in their last fight, and obviously he's had injuries, he has knee problems, he has other stuff, he has hips, there's lots of stuff we've heard. But I'm not making excuses for him. He's not making excuses for himself, because that's not the kind of guy he is. He's the kind of guy that just goes out there and fights, and he doesn't care. And that's why it would be interesting. Usman would try to take him down. Khamzat would try to take him down. Ultimately, it depends on where this fight is. Like I said, if it's at 185, I'm probably favoring Chimaev. Just because the strength, the size, he's going to be full. And I'm not taking anything away from Usman. If it's at 170, Usman's taking a cake. That's for sure. He has an easier weight cut. He's also used to that division. Khamzat's had some issues at 170 with making weight. And that's, like I said, this is why it is interesting. This would be stylistically one of the most interesting fights we could potentially get. And I hope it does come to fruition, because we're all excited. I just want your insight of what you think it's going to happen. Where is it going to be? What weight division? When's it's going to happen? When could this potentially be? Let me know, and I'll see you guys next time.